Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 podcast. Today we are going to talk about the main differences between Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos and Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne. Technically they are the same game, but when you play both games you can really see that those two games are entirely different really. And to the point where players who played Reign of Chaos for a lot of time will have to practice a lot in order to fully understand the mechanics of the Frozen Throne because of all the new features that have been introduced with the expansion set. So for the beginners, of course, Reign of Chaos was the original version of Warcraft, the first one that you could buy, and it features four main races: human, undead, orcs and night elf. And in the original Reign of Chaos you can only have 3 heroes per race, so human would have Mountain King, Archmage and Paladin. Night elf would have Priestess of the Moon, Keeper of the Grove and Demon Hunter. Undead would have Dreadlord, Death Knight and Lich, and Orc would have Blade Master, Farseer and Tauren Chieftain. So there was no Shadow Hunter for Orc, there was no Warden for Night Elf, there was no Crypt Lord for Undead, and there was no Blood Mage for Human. These heroes have only been introduced in the expansion set. So we have already outlined the first difference, the first big difference between the two games. But I would say, yeah, maybe it's the biggest one, but it's not necessarily the one that changes the game the most. I would say that the difference that really made those two games two entirely different games is the introduction of shop and the introduction of staffs. To make it easy to understand, on Reign of Chaos you had no opportunity to heal your units if there was no fountain, or if you didn't get a scroll of healing, which you could only buy at the goblin shop. So typically maps would have a goblin shop where you can buy scroll of healing, potion of healing, and don't remember if you can buy the invulnerability potion, but I guess you can't. So the invulnerability potion were only coming from item drops, and this already makes you understand how the importance that item drops had on Reign of Chaos, where you only have the shop, the goblin shop, so you didn't have your own shop. There was no arcane vault for human, there was no voodoo lounge for the orc, there was no shop for the undead, of course, and there was no shop for the night elf. So no potions, nothing you could buy at your base, and obviously no early healing for the orcs, whereas night elf would still have early healing with the moon wells, but also no early healing for the footmen. And undead would have some form of healing if you consider the blight as a form of healing with the increased regeneration, but yeah, no scrolls, no potions, nothing. So I remember a lot of games being decided by item drops, like getting the greater healing potion and then using it in the fight, and you have it, your opponent doesn't have it, and you win the fight because of that. So that's already a huge difference. Another difference is the very important difference is the fact that on Reign of Chaos you could creep your heroes up until level 6 and beyond. Basically you can endlessly creep your heroes until you get level 10, whereas on Frozen Throne you can only creep your heroes up to level 5, and then to gain more experience you need to trade with your opponent. So that's a huge difference, because I remember a lot of games again on Reign of Chaos playing Night Elf, just going for mass creeping in order to get my Demon Hunter level 6 and to get the ultimate, which is very, very strong. You can't do that on Frozen Throne. And I remember I didn't like this thing when I first buy the Frozen Throne. I was used to really creep my hero to level 6, and on Frozen Throne you can't do it. You can't do that. But overall, after playing Frozen Throne for a while, there is no comparison. It's just ages better. It's just so much better. There is a lot more variety, and I feel like the introduction of staff, and I mean the staff of teleportation and the staff of preservation for the Night Elf and the staff of sanctuary for the humans, opened the field to a lot of plays that were really not possible on Reign of Chaos, where essentially the only way you could get out of a fight was by running or by TP. And you could only buy a TP at the Goblin shop again, because there was no shop. There is no shop on Reign of Chaos. And keep in mind that on Reign of Chaos, when you create a hero, the hero comes out of the altar with a TP. So if you create 3 heroes, you will have 3 TP for free, which you don't have on Frozen Throne, since on Frozen Throne you get only a TP for free when your first hero comes out of the tavern, but not when your second and third hero come out of the altar. And also, I used this word tavern. I wanted to use the word altar, but now that I've said it, another huge difference is that on Frozen Throne you have the tavern, and on Reign of Chaos you don't. On Reign of Chaos there is no tavern, and so you cannot instantly recreate your heroes, and of course you cannot buy tavern heroes, which were only introduced on Frozen Throne. So there is no Tinker, there is no Dark Ranger, there is no Naga, there is no Alchemist, there is no Fire Lord, there is no Pit Lord, and you can already, and of course there is no Beastmaster, so you can already imagine how less complexity and less variety we have on Reign of Chaos. Just the introduction of Beastmaster, just the introduction of those tavern heroes, Panda, Beastmaster, Dark Ranger and Naga, introduced so many opportunities to play fun stuff on the Frozen Throne. Tinker becoming a meta hero in the Night Elf versus Orc matchup, Dark Ranger becoming a meta hero and Pit Lord as well, becoming a meta hero in the Orc versus Undead matchup. So yeah, these are the main differences, I would say. The tavern heroes, the opportunity to creep up to level 10 on Reign of Chaos, and the difference between having and not having shops. Also, of course, the different costs of building. Units and buildings had different costs in Reign of Chaos, but I wouldn't say this is the biggest difference. This is a minor difference. The biggest differences are those that I already outlined. And think about the staff. Think about the new possibilities that having Staff of Teleportation and Staff of Preservation and Staff of Sanctuary really allowed for this game. And oh, I forget another one. I forget a huge one. I forget about the orbs. You don't have orbs on Reign of Chaos. This means no Orb of Lightning, no Orb of Corruption, no Orb of Venom, and no Orb of Fire that nobody is using. I use the Orb of Fire to be honest. I like it. I think it's the worst between the 4 orbs, but it's still very useful since you can attack air and you still have that +5 damage. So I use the Orb of Fire as well when I play human. But imagine the Orc without the Orb of Lightning. Imagine the Undead without the Orb of Corruption. That is a must. They use it into every game, and on Reign of Chaos you didn't have any orb. So the gameplays were entirely different. You would see a lot of Dreadlord for the Undead, you would see a lot of Farseer for the Orc, you would see Demon Hunter for the Night Elf, and Human was just way stronger in my opinion because of the healing of the priests, and because you could do some creeping tricks with towers, and you could do that also as Orc. And again, another huge difference was the ability to get experience by creeping with towers. So if you would kill the creeps with towers, you would get experience for that. So I remember sometimes playing against Orc and all of a sudden seeing that his Farseer was like level 5 when I was only level 2 or 3, and I was like, what the fuck? How could he creep that much? And that's because of towers. They were placing towers in certain spots of the map and then luring the creeps to attack those towers and then easily kill those creeps with towers, and they would get experience by those kills, which is something that has been fixed on Frozen Throne. On Frozen Throne you don't get any experience by units that you kill with towers. So another huge difference. And as you can see, the more I talk, the more differences I find, because every topic is connected to another topic. I thought about the orb because I was going to talk about the opportunity to defend from harassment on Frozen Throne that is just way better than Reign of Chaos. On Reign of Chaos you don't have Staff of Teleport. Like I said, if you wanna come back home fast, you only have TP, which means that if you're playing Night Elf, for example, and your opponent is harassing you with Wyverns and you don't have enough anti-air because you weren't expecting it, the only thing you can do is you can build Ancient of Protectors, which of course you can quickly kill with those Wyverns. You cannot use the Orb of Venom because there is no Orb of Venom, there is not even a shop. You cannot quickly come back at home with the staff because there is no staff. So what would you do against that kind of cheesy strategy? I don't know. If you got the answer, you can answer with a comment. I really don't know. Or even if you are playing Night Elf Mirror, your opponent surprises you with mass Hippo Riders, what do? You can't wait until tier 3 to get an orb, which is the most efficient response to this type of harass, along with getting a panda, creeping him to level 3 and then using Breath of Fire on those hero units. But again, all of these counters are Frozen Throne counters. They require you to have a panda, they require you to have an orb, they require you to have a staff. All those things don't exist on Reign of Chaos. So for all of these reasons, I think that Frozen Throne is just way better, way more balanced. The introduction of staff really makes it possible to defend from those types of cheesy strategies, and so that if you're playing Night Elf and your opponent tries to surprise you with Wyverns you can still defend with protectors, archers, and a demon hunter with an orb. For example, you can place archers on one of your bases, and you can staff with your demon hunter and orb on your other base, or you can staff your panda. In other words, there's a lot of things you can do by proper usage of staffs and orb to defend from those type of annoying strategies, whereas there's almost nothing you can do on Reign of Chaos. If your opponent is attacking in different part of the map, your only defense is towers, because you cannot TP every time. That's just too expensive for you. This is perhaps the biggest difference, together with the new heroes introduction, but even more important than the new heroes introduction, because as you can see, the heroes only change your style of playing, whereas the introduction of stuff really allows you to deflect some strategies that you couldn't deflect on Reign of Chaos.